it possible for me to have multiple orgasms?
Well, that's a good question. Well, there is this misunderstanding of men being able to have one orgasm and women multiple orgasms. Actually, for both men and women, trans men and trans women, for gender diverse people, you have an orgasm, and after that orgasm, your body has a refractory period. So a recovering period where you're not able to have an orgasm, and usually are also just not ready to continue having sex, or just to pause, at least not to work immediately towards an orgasm. So a lot of people have sex, they orgasm, and they have a break. You can continue being sexually active in that time, but it takes some time before you can have an orgasm again. So actually the good news is everyone can have multiple orgasms if they give themselves the time to orgasm again, and if they have the desire to orgasm again. So there's also a lot of people for whom the orgasm was in an intensity that they think like, oh, I'm done for today, I'm gonna take a nap. So the stereotypical what you see in a movie, people having sex and the one person rolls over and goes to sleep. It is about how intense your orgasm was, whether you want to continue or whether you want to sleep. But everyone is able to have
more than one
an orgasm after they've recovered again from that first orgasm. But if that time in between is very long, so the experience from people on hormone therapy, again, it is based on just described experiences. Trans women do describe the orgasm being longer. They describe them maybe being not the same intensity for very short, but less intense, but for longer. And it could be that because of that you don't reach the highest peak, but a lower intensity, that it's also easier to recover and have a next orgasm. But that is, we don't have the science on that, or at least I'm not aware of the science on that yet.
Do cis women get multiple orgasms, and how?
For cis women, it is similar. Have their orgasm and are happy that they're done. There's also cis women that have smaller orgasms multiple times. They don't reach that high peak. Understanding about the orgasm and which type of stimulation, whether they recognize their orgasm, because sometimes women only find out later in life, cis women find out later in life, like, oh wait, is this what an orgasm is? I thought that nice sensation was like, oh, it's nice, that's an orgasm. But they only realize later, because the anatomy of the clitoris has been very much ignored in scientific life. I think it's only been 10 years ago that medical books started describing the anatomy of the clitoris, which is not just one dot, but is a whole constellation, so to say. Whereas the anatomy of the penis and the head of the penis and the sensitive part has been described for years and years and years. I think for cis women, there's still a lot of exploration because they've been ignored in the medical sciences on orgasm and sexual life. And for trans women, it's similar. First of all, they're still very much doing their research on which type of surgeries are the most enjoyed, or the most popular, or the most successful, depending on how you rate successfulness. Is successful surgery based on what it looks like, or is it based on how it functions, or is it based on how someone enjoys sex and orgasm afterwards? There's different ways of rating it, and I think both for trans women, trans feminine people, but also for cis women, the knowledge about their orgasms and sexual life has been very much lagging behind compared with researches on penises.
So you mean to say everyone can have multiple orgasms, we just need to work on it?
In the ideal world, yes. Of course, there's people that have maybe medical conditions that the nerves don't work properly anymore, or they have medical conditions that causes also to experience pain. For example, if someone has dryness of the vagina, for example, and you experience pain, it's very difficult to enjoy pleasure through stimulation, because at the same time of the activity you also experience pain. So you need to be able to take that pain away and the cause of the pain away, so that people can relax and focus on the pleasure. So I don't want to say that everyone is supposed to have orgasms, because sometimes there is medical conditions, psychological barriers that make it very difficult. There is sexologists throughout the world, but it depends on the region how openly it's talked about. But there's always ways of finding out, is there, if you struggle with having orgasms, is there maybe a medical reason, or is there maybe a psychological reason, and is that something that we can work about? There's a reason why sexology exists.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of people, the sexual component is something valid and important in their life, but for a long time it has been something that is too shameful to go to a doctor, and especially when you have to disclose, okay, but how do you have sex? Why is it not working? What could be the cause? It feels very personal. But the good news indeed is that there is options to improve your sexual life. There's options to hopefully improve your orgasm. And in the ideal setting, everyone gets multiple orgasms maybe. But for those who don't, it's also not a problem. It's not a mandatory thing to enjoy your sexual life.
Yeah, sex is more of a full body experience.
Yes.